Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to yet another episode of the Younib Breakfast Show with me, Peninah Wachera. I hope you guys have woken up well and are excited to face your day. Yeah? For me, I am really excited to face this day. And actually, my morning has started in a good note. Yeah, it's been quite a week. And I'm so happy that I am here to talk to you guys and to have a conversation that will be impactful. Yeah. So as it is the norm here at the Younib Breakfast Show, let's go straight to the morning bite of the day. So today we are going to be speaking about GBV, gender-based violence. And as you all know, there's a campaign that is going on, the 16 Days of Activism against gender-based violence. This is actually a global thing. It's not a Kenyan thing, but it's good that we've seen our president supporting this program or this 16 days of activism. Before I actually get into the discussion or get to understand or tell you guys why we brought this topic, I am joined by a familiar face. You guys already know this face here, and she's not new. She's just part of us already. Yeah. So karibu sana kwenye Younib Breakfast Show.
Asante.
I hope you are feeling well. How is your morning taking you?
Well, we thank God we are alive and healthy. Yeah, so we are. I'm fine.
You're fine.
Yes.
And it's actually good to acknowledge sometimes, even though you're not okay, but you just acknowledge that I am living.
Yes.
I have a reason to be happy, and it's good. And I hope you guys at home, Pia, if you're feeling like this morning is not your morning, as mine is, yeah, you can always just search for something to be grateful for. And if you get that thing that you're grateful for, it will make you push your day.
Yes.
So today, as I spoke about, we're going to be speaking about gender-based violence. But before we get to that, there are people who don't know your name. So kindly look at the camera and please introduce yourself.
Habari zenu. Najua umenizoea hapa. You can't forget my name that easily. But my name is Eunice Mutua. I'm happy to be here today. And we are here to discuss about gender-based violence. It's something that has been affecting us women and also include men too. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
As always, you should. Anyway, yeah, so this is the conversation we're having today. It's a serious matter, actually. And I'd like to actually applaud our country, mostly even our president, getting to speak to women and even removing funds for the activism to happen, the 16 days of activism. And I'm hoping that the people are using the fund to do the right thing, because we know Kenyans.
I hope so too.
Yeah, we really know how Kenyans do things.
Yeah.
They will always take advantage of things, but it was really needed. And we've seen a really huge amount of people or ladies, who have passed on simply because of femicide.
True.
Yeah, in like 3 months, according to the statistics, in 3 months, that was excluding December. Yeah.
Yes.
In 3 months, there were 97 women.
Yeah. Femicide cases.
Yeah, femicide cases who were killed, unfortunately, because of either one way or another, just assaults. Yeah. So we've seen these things happening.
Yes.
And I remember that saying, there are people who are saying that this one is likened to like every day, every single day, a woman dying.
True.
Yeah,
and it's so sad.
It's so sad. It's really sad. And it's important actually to have these 16 days of activism. As I said, it's a global thing.
Yeah.
People may think it's only a Kenyan thing, but no, it's global.
It's not, yeah.
And the main reason why there's the 16 days of activism, let me just give you guys a little bit about the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. That's GBV. It is an annual global campaign that takes place from November 25th until December 10th, which on the December 10th, we celebrate the Human Rights Day. So right now we know it's a crucial time, mostly here in Kenya, since we've seen a lot of cases of people losing their lives due to gender-based violence.
Yeah.
And we saw it wise also to just come in here and inform you. It's not our first time doing the gender-based violence conversation, but we are really here, and we really want to teach you about this, to make you learn more about gender-based violence, and also for people who are not informed out there to get to know what really is the problem when it comes to gender-based violence. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming to help us tackle this conversation.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I'm sure we are going to learn so much when it comes to this conversation. We really need to know more about this. And mostly at this time, because there are people who don't even know where to run to if they just have assault.
Yes.
If they, you know, we've seen a lot of people even in marriage that are trying to just be there, and they're being physically abused.
Yeah.
So that's why I see it's important for us to have this conversation. Yeah.
I agree.
So to start us off, please tell us what gender-based violence is all about. Many people may hear gender-based violence and they're wondering what are these ladies talking about. Yeah. So please take us through.
Gender-based violence, I'd say, it's basically violence against one's gender, but then there are many forms of violence. It may not only be physical. There are many things people go through out here, but it's difficult to talk about it. Maybe because they feel embarrassed or they're like, what will people say? But I want to say it is okay to talk about it. That is how you heal. That is how you help someone else who is going through what you've been through or what they have been through before and they have not been able to talk about it. So I'd say gender-based violence is violence against one's gender, and mostly we've seen it happens to women and girls.
Yeah, that's a higher percentage.
Yes,
but it doesn't mean that males
go through it.
They don't go through it.
They do,
but it's not higher percentage.
Yes.
Okay, so you've already told us about the different forms of gender-based violence. I want us to go straight there without wasting any time. Yeah.
So number one, I'd say physical violence. It's unachapwa, physical, I'd say, is more of body form. Umechapwa, umekuwa abused, you don't know it, you don't know what to do about it, and you're in more pain, you have more scars, it's imeleta trauma mingi, but sasa that is another form of violence. So first we start with the physical, umechapwa, you can't talk about it. So that is where physical violence begins. Inaanza katuna slap. The next time you just brush it off, you're like, it will change. But it doesn't change. It escalates and you're like, imefika point, you can't do anything about it kwa sababu umeacha ikafika at that point and now you don't know what to do about it. So it all begins there, the physical violence. So
number one is physical violence.
Yes.
Yeah? So what other form do we have?
We have sexual violence. You see, mostly it happens to girls, or rather the ladies who are married. You have not given consent to having sex, but your partner wants sex
by force.
Yes, by force, and you're like, he's my husband, I have to. But let me tell you, you don't have to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And also another example of a sexual violence is rape. Yes, and many people have gone through it, and people tend to judge us ladies by the way we wear. It attracts men, the manner in a lead to rape, but that is not a reason they could rape someone. Ama you're dating someone and you're forcing them into sex and you've not talked about it. You as a couple are not ready to engage in sex, or maybe your partner is not ready to engage in sex, but you want it forcefully. Yes, so that becomes violence. Yes. Okay,
so number two is sexual violence. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, number three.
Number three is psychological or emotional violence. That is humiliation ama verbal abuse. Mtu anakutusi tu ama there are times you feel esteem yako imeshuka chini, your self-worth, you don't feel like it's you anymore. Mtu amekudemean to a point. When I tell you you're beautiful, you can't accept it. You're like, apana, mwingine aliambia I'm not beautiful, so why are you telling me that? So so unapata emotionally you're suffering, but at times you don't know, but it can be you have gone through that violence, but you don't know. So inaendelea kukuumiza. Unapata most of the people are depressed, they are stressed, and you don't know if it's that violence you've been through. But when you share it, you get to understand, oh, alikuwa nani violate, that was violence. Yes.
Okay. Is there any other form?
Another form is economic or financial violence. This is restricting access to financial resources or opportunities to assert control, including destroying property or values ama withholding money. Tuseme you and your partner mmefungua tuseme a saving account, and you have invested so much in that. Maybe you had future plans, and he doesn't want to include himself in that plan. Akona plans zake, hii pesa ndafanya hivi. And remember, you had agreed, the both of you, this is what we want to do, this is the saving goal plan, this is what we are going to do, but anakuendea kinyume. So you're like, how am I going to get myself out of this situation economically? Kwa sababu sasa ame withhold pesa, ame destroy your valuables. Remember, there are times umekuwa umeshushwa chini kabisa, you can't get up, and maybe that was your only hope. Sasa amekupeleka sasa chini kabisa, and you don't know where to start from. Yes. So basically it's more to do with money, yes, or finances. Yes, those are
the main forms.
Yes.
Yeah, you've spoken about now the money aspect, and I was thinking about how most times you might get somebody in the house. You know, if a man, we all know that there are some women who are always at home, and they don't have jobs to run to. They don't, even for that saving, they don't have. You see, now does it mean that if a man does not provide for that woman, and maybe they're the ones who told them you don't have to go to search for work, and they don't give you money, does it mean that they are financially assaulting you?
Yes, I'd say yes, because you as the man, you told the woman not to work, you will provide. But then again, unamwekea burden kubwa sana. Umemwachia kila kitu, anafaa kujiprovidea kila kitu. Remember, as a man, you are the provider. And before you got into that marriage, you had to agree, am I supposed to work or not? And if I'm not supposed to work, I know, me as a woman, I must have a plan myself. How am I going to sustain my family? So we don't have to really rely on the man on everything. But then again, if he said he's going to provide for the family, then that's his responsibility. Let him take up that responsibility and act like a man, like he is supposed to. So I'd say he is violating her, and then again, he's not. So I'd say it depends on how you take it. Kwa sababu kuna ile, we ladies are like, ataki kuprovide, ni sawa, mi nitafanya. Ni sawa, mi nitafanya. But then atazoea, and he'll be like, hata nisipoacha hii 100, mdema atatafuta. But hajui, ni vitu ngapi unajinyima ndo provide for that family. Remember, you're not working. So he's violating you already kwa sababu, amekuja na hiyo idea, don't work, I will provide for everything you need. But then sasa ameacha kuprovide anymore, na hasemi kwa nini ha provide. So he's already violating you, anakushusha chini. Hapo ndo unapata uko na stress, you can't cater for your needs. These small needs you want, you can't do it. Juu sasa umekuwa na a bigger burden sasa. Remember, you have kids, you have house to pay rent for, water bills, electricity bills. So it becomes a burden. Okay,
so I hope all of you guys at home are getting to understand more about the gender-based violence. And I know most people expect that gender-based violence will be something something that has just fallen from like it's something that you don't even understand. People don't even understand the fact that me being beaten is a form of abuse.
True,
they just see it as a normal thing, because in our traditional ways we've been told about your man should beat you. There are people who believe that if I'm in a marriage I have to be beaten, and they don't understand that it is a way of violating you. And with time, this person will be able to maybe cause more harm to you. It may maybe make you lose a child.
True.
anyway, it's important for you guys to be informed about these decisions. It's good for you to unlearn the things that you thought are right. And that is why we are having this conversation here. Remember, you can always interact with us through our social media platform, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719 144 144. Remember to use the hashtag YBS with Peninah Wachera, and we'll be able to actually follow up with your conversations, your worries, and also try to help you out where we can. But for now, I want us to take this short break, and we'll be back with more concerning the conversation at hand. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Je, wewe ni mfanyabiashara katika sekta ya elimu, afya bora, usafiri ama unamiliki kampuni yoyote ile? Ungependa kupata fursa ya kutangaza biashara yako ili kuwafikia wateja zaidi? Usikonde. Runinga ya Younib inakupa fursa ya kupeperusha matangazo kuhusu bidhaa na huduma unazotoa kwa bei nafuu. Kwa maelezo zaidi, wasiliana nasi kupitia nambari za simu 0750344700 ama kupitia barua pepe marketing@younibtv.com. Jinyakulie leo. Younib TV, ever the best.
Welcome back. This is still the Younib Breakfast Show with me, Peninah Wachera, and my lovely guest, Eunice, over here. And we are here to actually speak about GBV, gender-based violence. And before, actually, when we were starting, we were speaking about the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, which is happening worldwide, yeah. And in Kenya, mostly, we have been seeing a lot of cases when it comes to femicide and everything. But we are trying also to raise this awareness and equality about all genders. We are advocating for the gender equality, and we are trying to promote protection of the human rights.
Yes.
Mostly for everybody, every person, every individual, but mostly for the ladies, since we've seen a lot of ladies' lives have been cut short because of this specifically, yeah. And it's so important for us to actually take this not in a light way, but in a very serious way, because these are conversations and these are things that may happen not only to you, but also to your neighbor, to your sister, to somebody you know. And it's important that you get to know more about this, so that if something happens, God forbid it does, but if something happens, you can know on how or what to do next, yeah. So it's important. Remember, you can always interact with us through our social media platforms. Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719 144 144. Yeah. So Eunice, as I said, we are having the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. As a country, we've seen at least there's a step this year.
Yes.
People are really speaking about it, and we've seen a lot of people coming out to actually say we want to end femicide, we want this stopped. And it's, as I said, it's important, and it's a good gesture that we saw the president actually giving out money to be able to support this initiative. So I want us now to see what are the key focuses or what is Kenya focusing on when it comes to the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence.
Number one, I'd say it's raising awareness on GBV. You see, the moment we start educating people or the public on what GBV is, they'll get to understand. So like you had said before, traditions zimefanya tukabelieve, akinichapa ananipenda.
Yeah, it's okay.
But times are changing. We are at a time where we talk about everything. And if not everything, at least something that you know can help someone out there, because it's not only that one lady who has suffered from that. There are many ladies.
Yeah.
And we don't have to wait till all of the ladies are going through that hard time ndo tuanze ku speak up. So I feel like when we raise awareness, when we educate people on this is GBV, this is what GBV is, and if you go through this such thing, this is what we call gender-based violence. At least people will have an idea, oh, this is happening, this is happening. So I happen kwangu pia peke yangu, kuna mtu mwingine anaipitia. So nikiraise awareness kwa the public, watajua there's something like this that is going on, and this is how we can stop it by talking about it. Yes.
So that is one of the things that the 16 days of activism is trying to actually focus on.
Yes.
Is there another thing?
Another thing is giving safe space to these survivors. There are people who have survived from gender-based violence, and actually talking about it inawasaidia kuheal, na pia inafanya mtu mwingine akuwe aware. It takes us back to awareness.
Yeah.
Inafanya anakuwa aware there's something like this going on. Huyu amepitia hii na hii na hii. Mimi nimeshare story yangu, kuna mtu atasaidika hapo nje. Atapata ile confidence ya kutalk about whatever they've been through. It's not easy. It's never easy talking about gender-based violence. But the moment you've talked about it, you've helped 1,000 of ladies out there who can't talk about it. We are giving the survivors a safe space. We are also able to counsel them, and itawatoa kwa hiyo depression, kwa hiyo trauma wamepitia before, hiyo hatred wameibeba. You see, it will give them time to heal, because it takes a lot of time to heal from that violence. But at the end of the day, you will just heal.
Yeah, and it's actually a good thing that we've been seeing also in the media space. We've been seeing a lot of women giving out their stories and talking about it, really, and showing the people that this is not something new under the sun.
True.
It's something that we have been experiencing. And it's important, if you're somebody at home and you've gone through this, please feel free to share it to a friend, to your church members in the group,
Yes.
because we are in that day, we are in the 16 days of activism. I actually even want to advocate for this, to have like discussions by the youths during their meeting time in churches, in social places, to actually speak about these conversations.
Yes.
If you have ever been raped, if you have been ever gotten violated, even for the male, it can make a difference.
Yes.
You don't have to be in the media space so that you can make a step on these things. But I feel like we need to initiate. If we are leaders out here, if we are youth leaders and you're listening to this conversation, try your level best and start this conversation, and make sure that even your friends can be able to open up, because they see a safe space around them, and they can be able to speak out, and that may help them get counseling they need.
Yes.
So if you are somebody at home who has gone through this thing, you can advocate, you can start speaking out through the people you know, the few people you know, and I think through that you'll be able to build an advocacy, which will help us now be able to help people in our community who have gone through this thing. So don't be afraid of speaking out. Yeah, it's important. So which other way or which other focuses does the 16 days of activism focus on? Excuse me.
Another focus is empowering women and girls. I love the fact that there are many organizations, and mostly non-governmental organizations, who have taken up that initiative to empower these young girls and women. I say when you empower one girl, you have empowered a whole community, because when I am empowered, I will empower another young girl, and that young girl empowers another young girl. And that is how we educate these young girls. That is how we build a society that is more educated, that is more built up. They find more ways of growing economically, because we are trying to prevent gender-based violence in a way that these women can depend on themselves. You don't have to have a man for you to feel that I have to depend on him on everything. No, but when you're educated, when you're empowered, you know you can do it by yourself.
Yeah.
And that is how you empower a whole community.
True.
Yes.
I agree with you. Okay, which other thing are we trying to focus on?
There have been cases of FGM and child marriage, especially in other communities. I won't mention, but there have been many cases of FGM and child marriage, and you're like, this is a parent. Why would you give up your child for marriage? Why would you mutilate your child?
Earlier.
She's too young for that. I mean, it's painful.
Yeah.
As a parent, you should be one of the most caring person. I mean, that is your child. Take care of her the way you'd want someone else to take care of that child of yours whenever you give her out for marriage. And how would you feel if your child is educated, if your child is learned and can depend on herself or himself and can make decisions on herself? So that is another focus. We are trying to cut off easy stories of FGM na child marriage. It's so bad that there are still communities that still do this.
Yeah.
And even though we are trying to educate them, they still think hizi ni traditions za kitambo. Another thing, times are changing. We can't always stick on the past every time. We need to do things differently.
Yeah.
That's why there's this 16 days of activism.
Yeah.
We are trying to teach these parents that there are many ways of educating that your girl child, even without giving her up for marriage. Yes.
Yeah, and actually you've mentioned about FGM, and I remember somebody telling me the only GBV I knew was FGM, because I remember, most times it was mostly people are speaking about FGM.
Yes.
So anytime you could hear FGM, they knew FGM is just the only gender-based violence that they know, yeah? But it's important to know that gender-based violence does not only surround FGM, sorry, yeah? Yeah, so what else are we focusing on?
On promoting community action. You see, we can't do this as ladies on our own. We need these men. We need boys, and most of the leaders are men. So if we teach them more about gender-based violence, niko sure hata wao ni wengi wamepitia hii violence, but they can't talk about it. Ile ego ya mwanaume ile, mi siwezi sema, but actually when you say it, you're helping someone out there. Now, them being the head of the house, the head of the house, they lead a whole community. Kwa sababu wando atapatiana ile chance ya, let's educate these girls, let's educate these women, and through educating the boys and men, at least they're aware of what women also go through, because si kila mtu, as you've said, si kila mtu anajua what gender-based violence is. But tukianzia locally in our communities, we're educating them to those men, those boys, at least they know this is what gender-based violence is. This is what, if I do this to my woman, then I am violating her. If anyone does this to me, then he or she is violating me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's actually important, because having men getting to understand what women are going through, having men to know that this is how I'm supposed to actually treat a woman in the first place.
Yeah.
They don't have to just be there wakisema, I am supposed to beat them. I think it's something that we now need to normalize, that men also are being taught about how they can be able to treat themselves,
yes,
how they should carry themselves as true men, and also after that they can also be taught how they should treat a woman, because you have to be a real man first to know who you really are, so that you can be able to be capable of taking care of a woman.
Yes.
Okay, the next thing
is strengthening legal frameworks. So this is highlighting the need for stricter penalties for GBV perpetrators. The moment we let the perpetrators off, it means we are happy about what is going on, or it means we advocate for that violence. But tukikuwa strict on them, umepatikana rape a young girl, sodomize that young boy, kunafaa kukuwa na ile penalty yenye hutaisahau, na itakuwa funzo kwa kila mtu juu how would you wake up and just think of harming that young girl?
Yeah.
How would you wake up and think of harming that young boy? I mean, that could be your son, that could be your daughter. So whenever those perpetrators are caught in the action, or there's anything that implicates them, kunafaa kukuwa na ile penalty noma sana, ile yenye mtu hatawahi sahau maisha yake yote. When he thinks of harming that child, when he thinks of harming anyone, anakumbuka kuna funzo nilipata mahali, I can't do this again. So it's one of the focus. We can't let the perpetrators off. Ni kama tunawapea chance ya kufanya whatever they want na violating everyone. Yeah.
So it's really important, and I'm sure we have not exhausted all of the things, and we can't exhaust them here. But as I said again, it's a good initiative that we are seeing people speaking about it, coming up and talking about their experiences. And I'm feeling like this 16 days of activism every year should be seen the same way we are seeing it this year, and so that we cannot have cases from January to December of people dying simply because of gender-based violence. It's really, really important. And if you're at home, tell us how you're trying to actually be a participant in the 16 days of activism here in Kenya against the gender-based violence. We will really like to hear from you guys. Remember, our social medias are Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and you can also SMS or WhatsApp us through the number 0719 144 144. Remember to use the hashtag YBS with Peninah Wachera. But for now, we'll go for a short break, and we'll be back with more conversations about gender-based violence and the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Je, wewe ni mfanyabiashara katika sekta ya elimu, afya bora, usafiri ama unamiliki kampuni yoyote ile? Ungependa kupata fursa ya kutangaza biashara yako ili kuwafikia wateja zaidi? Usikonde. Runinga ya Younib inakupa fursa ya kupeperusha matangazo kuhusu bidhaa na huduma unazotoa kwa bei nafuu. Kwa maelezo zaidi, wasiliana nasi kupitia nambari za simu 0750344700 ama kupitia barua pepe marketing@younibtv.com. Jinyakulie leo. Younib TV, ever the best.
Welcome back. This is still the Younib Breakfast Show with me, Peninah Wachera, and my lovely guest here, Eunice. And today we're speaking about the 16 days of activism against the gender-based violence. And in the first segment, we've been taught about what gender-based violence is all about. We've known the different forms of gender-based violence. In the second segment, we've also spoken about what are the key focuses of the 16 days of activism here in Kenya. And finally, in this the third segment, we are here to also learn on activities that are happening during this specific time, and also, if time allows, we'll be speaking about the impact and goals that we wish the 16 days of activism will will have on gender-based violence and also on our country during that time. Okay. So remember to always interact with us through our social media platform, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719-144-144. Don't forget to use the hashtag YBS with Peninah Wachera. So going back to the conversation, I know, as I said, we couldn't finish or exhaust what are the key focuses, of the gender-based, or the 16 days of activism against the gender-based violence, So I just want us to go mostly to the activities that are happening during these 16 days of activism in Kenya.
So number one, as we've seen, it's advocacy in using social media. There's the use of TV, radio stations, Facebook, as in we are trying to raise awareness in that if you can't be able to demonstrate with the others, at least you can see through the social media. Unaweza sikiza kwa radio kwa sababu gani? Kuna wale watu wako mashinani. Those people who can't afford the television but wanasikiza radio, they are like wanakuwa educated. There's gender-based violence, it happens this way, this is what it is all about. Wale watu wako na TV, they can see on the news. When they are broadcasting the news, when I explain this is what gender-based violence is, when you tuko kwa social media, we can see what activities is taking place kwa social media during these 16 days of activism. So that has been one of the activities that has been going on, the use of media. Media spaces. As we are also doing here, we're trying to actually teach you guys about this specifically, gender-based violence, and it's really important. We've been having this discussion here. It's not the first time we're having the discussion here on Younib Breakfast Show, but I feel like we still need to talk about it, even though it's daily. We will need to do this until everyone gets to understand what gender-based violence is and is able to actually stand up and say, I personally, I am standing up against gender-based violence, and that's our aim, and that's our prayer also, that it will come to happen. So what other things or activities are happening during the 16 days of activism here in Kenya? The other activity is advocacy walks and events. We have seen demonstrations, and of course they are peaceful demonstrations, and most are women and girls, and we are trying to raise awareness. This has been going on for the past 3 months. We have seen these cases in the past 3 months, and we are not happy about it. They are our sisters. They are our friends. They are people we are close to. They are people who have been close to us. Unakaa tu unasikia tu mtu alipotea. After some days, they are dead. Some body parts ziko kwa different places, and you're like, that is so cruel. So one of the activities is
having walks.
And those public demonstrations. And I'm happy the president is really advocating for these demonstrations. Kama hadi alitoa pesa ya kusaidia gender-based violence na create awareness, then hata ya may feel he has also children who are ladies, his wife pia. So I'm happy he's really
endorsing it. I'm also happy for that. What other activities?
The other activity is community dialogues. So there are forums where communities discuss GBV and identify solutions. Hizi communities za huko mashinani kabisa. I have seen ladies wenye wanainuka pole pole who are fighting against GBV, FGM, child marriage. At least wana endorse the other women na wanafunzana. This is what GBV is about. This is what it does. This is how it affects us. So at least they are discussing with all the women, and they are trying to find solutions on how to stop the GBV.
Which is a good thing.
So another activity is workshops and trainings. So as we said earlier, sio kila mtu anajua kuhusu GBV. So at least if we educate a few people here, wata educate a few people there, and also kwa walimu pia shule, at least wanafunzi, this is about gender-based violence, this and this and this is happening, and when you get here at some point, this is where you can go to, this is who you can talk to for counseling also. So at least walimu wanapass you information. Lawmakers wanajua there's something like this that is going on, and if we stand up against it, it will stop. if we don't fight against it, it will continue, and more ladies will continue losing their lives. And you never know, it might be you, it might be me, because we get ourselves into more trouble. Let me use that. We get ourselves into more trouble and we ignore the red flags. Kitu unajua hii kitu ni mbaya, but you just want to just stick there, you want to stay there, but you don't want to take that step of saying enough is enough. But at least if we raise that awareness and we be serious about it, itaisha. But if we keep quiet, it means we tunapea perpetrators space ya kuendelea kudiminish watu na kuviolate watu.
Yeah. And actually, when you've spoken about the workshops, I've remembered the president speaking about how he's trying to also enforce this, back the gender. You know, in every health or hospital, let me just say hospital, there are supposed to be gender desks where if you are having an issue when it comes to GBV, you should go report there in police stations, in hospitals. But unfortunately, we've been seeing nothing has been happening in those specific places. And if they are there, but they are not really attended to as they are supposed to. So it's really important that during this workshop, and I hope it will happen, that most people also educate the people about these specific things. Like there's always a gender place, a place for where you can go and speak out. You can always go to a police station and just say, I want mostly to do with the gender desk to speak about GBV, and maybe they can also show you this is where the best place to do. So I feel like if we get those frameworks in at the right level, we can be able to maybe take a step more when it comes to really going against gender-based violence. Yeah. Okay, what else?
The other thing is government and non-governmental initiatives. As I had said earlier, napenda venye government wanajaribu kupartner na non-governmental organizations in such a way that we are helping these young girls. At least tunawapatia ile safe space ya kuja talk about it, share your story, and si lazima ikue umeenda tu pale kwa TV. There are people who can't talk about their problems or whatever they've gone through pale kwa TV, but at least kuna radio stations unaweza wasikia, this is my story, this is what happened. So, and that is where the government comes in. Na hizo offices za gender-based violence, those posters where you can call those numbers in case of an emergency, in case of umepitia such violence. And there are groups zina partner pia na non-governmental organizations, and they are helping girls. They are empowering girls out here, and it's such a good initiative because as I had said, when you educate one girl, you're educating the whole community. Yes.
I actually agree with you, So those are the activities. Is there any other?
No.
Okay, so those are some of the activities that we may say that are happening during the 16 days of activism against the gender-based violence in our country here in Kenya. See, kwingine ni huku tu. Yeah, and I really appreciate the actually people thinking about it and going the extra mile to actually do it. Although it has taken time, but I feel like it's a step to the right direction. So what are the goals or the impacts that we expect from the 16 days of activism when it comes to gender-based violence?
Number one, we expect that survivors have access to justice and also resources. We can't just talk about it and leave it there. It's up to us to take action. And if we want this to stop, we must come together as one, fight against it, all of us, everyone. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, you're fighting against GBV. You wouldn't want it to happen to you, so why would you want it to happen to another person? So we want to ensure justice is served. Perpetrators wamepata funzo yao kali, moja noma yenye wataisahau. You know, I will insist on it. Perpetrators wasiachwe waende tu ati just because you have money ama power or whatever. As long as umefanyia mtoto wa mtu kitendo kibaya, jela. Punishment ingine yenye utawaisahau because it's not fair. Unaumiza watoto wa watu just like that.
What is the other thing that we expect?
Another goal is reduce cases of GBV through sustained public education and policy enforcement. At least when people have awareness on gender-based violence, they are educated, girls are empowered, women are empowered, at least numbers zinaenda zikireduce, at least utapata. Hivyo venye tulikuwa nasema one woman is killed every day. Let it just stop. And if we really want it to stop, then we must take action. And that is why the campaign is going on. Yes.
Okay.
Another goal is promote gender equality and women's empowerment. Like we've said about gender-based, a gender desk, at least kukuwe na equality. The way you're serving that man, hata mimi nataka niserviwe hivyo. Najua tuwezi toshana, but at least let me feel I'm welcomed there.
Yeah,
I'm supposed to be. Yes. Na nasikizwa vizuri. Si ati juu mimi ni mwanamke, sifai kusikizwa. I have my own rights. I have to express myself. It's my own right. So we promote gender equality. The way you're treating that man, treat that woman as well. So another goal or impact is build a society where GBV is no longer tolerated. The moment we've stood up and said no to GBV, ikuwe hivo, we won't tolerate that kuna mtu ana mistreat another woman ama another man is suffering because of GBV.
Yeah.
Fake tolerated at all. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I feel like we have gotten to understand more about the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And not only that, but also we've gotten to learn more about what gender-based violence is all about and what are the different forms.
Yes.
So I am sure that people now have the idea of what really this is all about. Isikuwe ni kama something new under the sun to most of us. At least now we've gotten the information that we need to know that what we can do against gender-based violence. Yeah. And even if you are not a survivor of, or you're not somebody who has gone through gender-based violence, at least right now you know how you can be able to help or assist when it comes to the 16 days of activism. Yes. And it doesn't have to stop there. It doesn't have to stop after the 10th of December. It should continue. It's something that we should actually continue speaking about until we see the end of it. There's a change. There's something that is happening. Yeah.
Yes.
We need to stand up and say that I am courageous enough to say, and I'm standing against gender-based violence. And if you decide, if I decide, if we all decide, that is how we get strength to actually fight gender-based violence. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
And for actually teaching us more about gender-based violence. And we don't take it for granted that you've taken your time to come and just explain this to us. Asante sana, yeah? To everyone who has made this show a success, thank you so much to our director, Eunice Mutua, who has also been gracious enough to also make our set today. Yeah, it's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you so much, Eunice Mutua. He's also the director. He's also our camera person. And today also assisting in the camera work has been Peter Murezi. So asanteni sana for the good work you guys are doing to ensure that we are able to make YBS a good show for everyone. Yeah? And to you, our viewers, thank you for always listening to us and for always taking part, always ensuring that every morning, every Tuesday and Wednesday morning, you're seated there to actually watch the Younib Breakfast Show. I don't take it for granted. Thank you so much. And today I just want us to be participants of the 16 days of activism here in Kenya. This will not only strengthen our commitment, but it will also help in ending the gender-based violence and promoting human rights of everyone. So even though you have not taken anything from this conversation, at least start being an advocate of the 16 days against the GBV. Yeah. So that we can be able to be committed, we can be able to see a change when it comes to human rights, and to also ensure that there is equality of all genders, that no gender is left behind, no gender is actually abused simply because of who they really are. And I feel like if we do that, we will go a step higher. So please be an advocate today. Be an advocate of saying no to gender-based violence. And I believe if we all come together and say no to gender-based gender-based violence, we will all have the commitment to stop it at the end, yeah? So thank you so much for watching the Uni Breakfast Show. I have been your host, Peninah Wachera. And until next time, do have a beautiful day ahead. And don't forget, guys, say no to GBV, yeah? Until next time, I repeat, don't forget to be ambassadors of saying no to gender-based violence, yeah? Until next time, do have a beautiful day ahead. Goodbye.